Hello and welcome to another edition of What to Watch with Your Popcorn. I'm Dave.
And I'm Rob.
And today we're going to be reviewing the 1959 cult classic horror film Plan 9 from Outer Space, which was directed by Ed Wood.
Mm-hmm. Man, and it's one of the, everyone probably has heard of this movie. A lot of people have called this the worst movie ever made and stuff. As you mentioned, it was made by Ed Wood. Ed Wood was, in the 1950s, a director of extremely cheap science fiction and horror films. Mm-hmm. They were shot on practically a shoestring budget. He could only shoot these movies in a few days, and oftentimes he would only shoot each shot in one take because he didn't have enough money for a lot of film.
Right.
So, yeah, so this is probably, many people have called this the worst movie ever made, and what was your reaction to this movie?
It's, this is like really, really corny. I mean, it's, the acting is so bad and everything, but you can't help laugh at the whole thing, and like you were telling me earlier, some of it, like some scenes just go on and just drag, like this one particular scene where the aliens are like doing their speech or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you said that it just took too long and they could have cut it a little bit shorter.
Yeah, definitely. But one thing that I didn't quite like, I mean, the movie opens with this rather commercial-sounding talk from Griswold the Great, and I got tired of his voiceovers after a while. But the thing is, a lot of people like to watch this movie, because it's, like you said, it's a bad movie to laugh at. But it's fun to spot a lot of inaccuracies or goofs, because if Ed Wood had more money, he probably would have done more takes. Like if someone's knocking over a cross in a cemetery and stuff, he would be like, okay, let's do that again. But unfortunately, he didn't have that luxury. Like there's a lot of stuff. Like for example, one thing I noticed, this movie, Bela Lugosi's footage was originally shot for another project which never got finished because of his death. There's the scene in the beginning where he's at a gravesite at a funeral, and then later there's new footage of two gravediggers. And what's fun is, in the Lugosi cemetery, the grave's dug up.
Yeah.
But in this new footage with the gravediggers, they're digging it up all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the dialogue is kind of funny too. Like there's a lot of examples. Like for one, when the gravediggers are done, they're like, "Well, time to go," and they're like, and all that other good stuff. And it's also weird seeing studio footage switch to location stuff, especially with chases in the graveyard or car chases. It just doesn't add up. And like you mentioned, wooden acting, but I think the best acting for me was done by two actors. There was Bela Lugosi, who, even though he doesn't speak in this movie, I think he gives a very great, genuine acting, and I love that and he conveys a lot. And the actor who played Eros, the alien that's in the spaceship, I thought, even though he was given bad dialogue, I thought he did very well. He was a radio actor, and he does have some limited acting, but I thought he did a good job.
Yeah, I liked him more than anybody else, and yeah, Lugosi, he was the best thing in this film. He basically made the movie, even though, like he says, he never said a word. I mean, it's just crazy, because like a lot of the times there's that stupid narrator, and then he's talking about Lugosi leaving his house because his wife dies, and he's gonna go kill himself now because he's all depressed, and it's like and then the narrator's like, never again to return to his home. I'm like, you got a nice house here, man. Just go with the flow, you know?
Yeah, I know, but there's a lot of people that suffer from depression who, if something happens to them, like they feel like it's the end. So I can understand that, but I agree with you that the dialogue really kind of pushed it a little bit too much. Like the dialogue, like another problem I have with the dialogue. There's a scene where Tor Johnson's in the cemetery. He plays the Inspector Clay, and he later becomes a zombie. He's like, it's too dark over here. I'm going to go get my flashlight. Yeah, and like, well, one thing I learned when I took screenwriting at college, the director said, show it, don't say it, because if you show it, you know, it'll look better. But if you say it, it sounds like especially if it's something plain and obvious, you know, you can't do that. But I mean,
they use simple words for everything too. It's like they could have done so much better. I mean, if they really wanted to, they could have like taken advantage of using a thesaurus or something and used such better.
It's full of pointless dialogue. Especially there's a scene where a guy saw a flying saucer, and he's like, "It was cigar shaped," and I was like, "No, it's not. It's not cigar shaped. It's circular." It's a bunch of other stuff. We could go on and on about all the crap like that. But one of my favorite moments in this movie is in Bela Lugosi's character's monument. the first person to come out of there was a scantily clad woman. I'm like, huh?
Did you notice? Yeah, and you notice how small that monument is. It's,
yeah.
I mean, you got all the thing is like really, really small, and it's like all these people are just coming out of it all of a sudden. It's like clowns coming out of a miniature car almost. It's like, because God knows how much room was actually on the inside of this thing, or if it was like, or if it was like an underground thing, or like a bigger. If it was actually bigger on the inside on the set.
Yeah, but I mean, and like you said, I mentioned earlier that there was the scene where they were shooting at the ships that went on too long, and there's a sequence where this woman's getting chased to the cemetery, which goes on too long and it's horribly edited. But I mean, the movie does ramble on, but overall, it's hard to say whether to recommend this movie. If you like bad movies and you like to laugh at them and make fun of them, like it's Mystery Science Theater 3000, by all means watch it. But if you expect a good science fiction movie, even though there's some good science fiction metaphors, like Earth probably can make weapons to destroy other people, especially other countries and all that stuff, that I got out of that. But still, it's just not a great movie. It's like a lot of those other cheap 50 science fiction films that were coming out at that time, like Lizard from Outer Space.
Yeah, and a lot of times that's the storyline anyway in those films, that there's things from other planets out to destroy us, and there's weapons of mass destruction. You know that a lot of movies play on that. You know in those days, so there's really nothing like new here.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on like who should see this, unless you're like a real big fan of like low-grade cinema, or you were a big Ed Wood fan, or you like you're a big like Bela Lugosi fan, or a fan of any of the other actors, then I'd say maybe check this out.
People know who the other actors even are.
Yeah,
because I looked on the Internet New Movie Database. A lot of these actors only did like 1 or 4 movies, and that was it.
Yeah, but for people that don't like avant-garde cinema and they're not into like science fiction that can, even though if it's bad, it can sometimes work out. I mean, I wouldn't recommend seeing this movie.
Period.
Yeah, because it'll bore you to tears, or you'll be like, what the?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so that's our review for Plan 9 from Outer Space. We both thought this movie was crap.
It is.
It's crap. It's crap, but it's fun. It's crap, but at the same time it can be entertaining and slow at times.
It might be. It's probably really fun to watch if you're high too,
or drunk.
Or drunk.
Like you could play a game where every time somebody rams into a prop and it wobbles, take a shot.
Take a shot. Yeah. You could, right.
Yeah. So go ahead and leave your comments about Plan 9 from Outer Space or about this review. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time on What to Watch with Your Popcorn.